feel like I'm getting hammered.
Imagine stepping onto the biggest stage of your career, ready to showcase your talent, only to realize you're battling more than just your opponents. What if every move you made was scrutinized, every call seemed to go against you, and the very people meant to enforce fairness were the ones making things harder? This isn't just bad luck, it's a growing controversy, and at the center of it all, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has encountered numerous obstacles on the court, but none have been more infuriating for fans than the inconsistent and downright baffling officiating. From blatant missed calls to unwarranted technical fouls, it's beginning to feel as if the referees have a personal agenda. Is this merely intense competition, or is there something more sinister at play? Each time Clark steps onto the hardwood, the atmosphere in the arena is electric. Spectators eagerly await her trademark deep three-pointers and dazzling assists. Yet instead of simply focusing on her performance, Clark is forced to constantly remain vigilant, not just against defenders, but also against officials poised to make questionable calls at the worst moments. The crowd, once roaring with enthusiasm, frequently turns its frustration toward the referees, jeering at decisions that seem utterly incomprehensible. Indiana maintained an 11-point advantage with 5:48 remaining in the second quarter, but the lingering question remained. Are these merely poor calls, or is there a growing pattern of bias? One of the most outrageous missed calls in recent memory occurred on September 22nd during the playoffs between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun. All attention was fixated on Clark, the league's most electrifying rookie, but instead of an exhilarating contest, fans were subjected to one of the most egregious officiating blunders of the season. Just minutes into the matchup, Dajane Carrington lunged for the ball, but inadvertently struck Clark directly in the eye. The force of the impact momentarily left Clark dazed, blinking as she attempted to regain focus. The audience waited for the whistle and waited, but it never sounded.
Clark, harassed by Carrington, finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down.
Fans erupted in outrage, expecting at the very least a foul call, if not a flagrant. But the officials remained silent. Meanwhile, Clark, visibly affected by the blow, struggled to regain her rhythm, concluding the first half with an uncharacteristic shooting performance of 1 for 9 from the field, including 0 for 6 from beyond the arc. A dark bruise began to form around her eye, serving as a physical reminder of yet another missed call. This was merely the first of many moments that left people questioning the referee's decisions.
And Clark is still down after taking a shot following the pass to Boston.
Was this simply tough playoff basketball, or was there an underlying issue? Either way, the message was evident. Clark wasn't going to receive any superstar treatment. If anything, she was subjected to some of the worst officiating inconsistencies the league had to offer. Fans exploded in outrage, storming social media to demand accountability from the league.
As everyone else has seen this angle, I'm calling her in and I'm saying to her, I need answers.
One furious spectator dubbed it the most poorly officiated basketball game of all time, while another condemned the refereeing as a complete disgrace. Despite the escalating frustration among viewers, Clark did what she does best, stayed composed, and continued to fight. However, the biased officiating did not end there. Throughout the game, Clark endured relentless physicality, being grabbed, shoved, and repeatedly struck. Yet the officials' whistles remained silent. No calls, no protection, just an expectation for her to endure it all.
Clark trying to get around Mabry. Clark to the rim, reverses it home through the contact.
Even the game's commentators could not ignore the excessive contact, drawing attention to the blatant fouls. Yet the referees appeared indifferent. Clark, however, refused to let the missed calls define her. She found alternative ways to contribute, once again proving why she is one of the toughest competitors in the league. Another astonishing moment occurred during an August 28th matchup against the Connecticut Sun. Everything seemed routine until Alyssa Thomas barreled into Clark, delivering a forceful shoulder check that sent the rookie crashing to the floor. The crowd gasped in disbelief.
Look here at the heavy contact.
The collision was brutal. Yet astonishingly, the referees only assessed a common foul. Fans were outraged, deeming it a cheap shot, with the overwhelming consensus being that it warranted a flagrant foul. The officials' failure to call it as such only intensified concerns regarding the standard of officiating in the WNBA. Even after enduring unrelenting physicality, Clark refused to allow it to shake her confidence. She brushed off the hit, rose to her feet, and immediately returned to work, showcasing once more why she is one of the most resilient athletes in the league.
Therefore, Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah, they're not going to look at this.
That's
Thought they might.
It's gotten the fans here fired up.
But just when it seemed as though Clark had weathered every obstacle thrown her way, a fresh controversy arose, this time from an unforeseen source. During an August 18th showdown against the Seattle Storm, Clark stood near the Seattle bench, energizing the crowd and feeding off the charged atmosphere. Out of nowhere, Skylar Diggins-Smith stepped behind Clark and delivered a deliberate shoulder check, shoving her out of the way. The initial excitement in the arena quickly morphed into stunned silence, followed by a cascade of angry boos. Yet the referees, once again, they overlooked the incident. No foul, no warning, just inaction. This moment instantly sparked debate about sportsmanship and fairness. Fans flooded social media, demanding answers. How is this not a foul? One asked. Another questioned why certain players seemed to escape scrutiny for aggressive behavior, while Clark faced immediate consequences for even the slightest actions.
Okay, by now I'm sure you've seen Skylar Diggins assault. Caitlin Clark after Indiana blew out Seattle.
Yet while Diggins-Smith's shove went completely unpunished, Clark's own emotional reactions on the court were met with swift technical fouls and warnings. The August 18th contest against Seattle featured yet another puzzling call. Clark missed a shot and, in frustration, lightly struck the padding of the basketball hoop. Before anyone could even process what had occurred, the referee's whistle blew. Technical foul. The ruling sent shockwaves through the arena. Was this truly an act of unsportsmanlike conduct?
And Caitlin Clark gets hit with a technical.
Or
After
merely a passionate competitor reacting to a tough moment? The debate raged on, but the decision had already been made. Clark later clarified her reaction, stating, "I got a technical for essentially being frustrated at myself because I missed a three and hit the backboard."
I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard, and he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball.
The ref told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball. Despite the questionable ruling, Clark refused to let it rattle her. Instead, she remained focused and led her team to an emphatic 17-point victory for the Fever, finishing with an impressive 23 points.
But I think he fired me up to continue to play a lot harder. I thought we got a lot better after he did that, so I want to thank him for that.
It had nothing to do with my teammates, nothing to do with the referees, nothing to do with the opposing team. It was simply because I'm a competitor, Clark explained. But here's where things become particularly intriguing. Is this type of reaction consistently penalized across the league? Or is Clark being singled out? Technical fouls were merely the beginning.
Had nothing to do with my team, had nothing to do with their reffing, had nothing to do with other team. It was just because I'm a competitor.
On September 11th, during a matchup against the Las Vegas Aces, Jackie Young's hand made contact with Clark's face, causing her to stumble backward. The crowd collectively held its breath, awaiting the call. Common foul. Boos rained down from the stands, and disbelief spread like wildfire across social media. Yet Clark, as always, refused to fixate on it. She shook it off and re-engaged in the game. Nevertheless, the moment lingered, a glaring example of the thin line between aggressive defense and reckless play. The pattern continued.
Clark, the hesitation, working inside the reverse. Oh, and took a big hit there on Jackie Young.
On May 22nd, against the Seattle Storm, Clark drove aggressively toward the basket, absorbing contact once, then again, and a third time. Still no whistle.
Seconds left. Goes around to Gumake. Drives baseline. His shot rejected by Izzy McMagor. And all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been.
The crowd erupted in astonishment. Fever head coach Christy Sides had reached her breaking point. Her frustration boiled over as she addressed the issue postgame. "We've got to improve the officiating. We need to start getting some of those calls." Her remarks weren't just a product of frustration. They were a direct plea for fairness, consistency, and the respect Clark deserved on the court. As the season progressed, that question became increasingly difficult to dismiss. With each controversial moment, another one followed in its place. Caitlin Clark found herself at the center of jaw-dropping incidents, but not for the reasons one would expect. Instead of her record-shattering performances or game-winning shots, the discussion revolved around the officiating, or the absence thereof. On June 19th, against the Washington Mystics, Clark maneuvered past defenders, prepared to make a play, and then it happened. Stephanie Dolson stepped up, made contact, and the ball was knocked away. The audience braced for the inevitable whistle, but it never came. Confusion spread instantly.
Well, Puck got a pretty good taste.
Fans were outraged. Social media exploded with incredulity. Some argue that this is merely part of the rookie experience, that Clark is simply enduring the standard welcome to the league treatment. However, others perceive something far more troubling, a pattern of inconsistent officiating, a double standard that continues to manifest. The pressing question remains, is Caitlin Clark merely facing intense competition, or is there a deeper issue plaguing the WNBA? So, is this just part of the rookie experience? Or are we witnessing something much bigger, a pattern of biased officiating that threatens the integrity of the game? One thing is certain, Caitlin Clark isn't backing down. With every questionable call, she keeps proving why she belongs among the best. But the real question remains, how long will fans, players, and even the league itself ignore what's happening right in front of them? What do you think? Is this just tough basketball? Or is Caitlin Clark being unfairly targeted? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe our channel for more amazing adventures.